moon phase, also known as the invisible phase, is a highly debated topic among scholars. Some say the new moon is a crescent moon, while others claim it's a full moon. But how did the ancients view it? And what does a new moon mean? And why is it so important?
Why?
To answer these questions, we're going to dive into the ancient Kemet and ancient American language and culture to gain some understanding. Medu Neter is an Afro language that translates to language of God or speech of God. The term Egyptian hieroglyph is a worldwide misnomer, and at this point should be deemed as an uneducated statement. Biblical Hebrew, Phoenician, Aramaic, and many other Afro-Shemitic languages derive from the Medu Neter. The Egypt we call today on the continent of Africa is not the same Egypt as the Moses story. The Torah, or Old Testament, is in fact written in the Afro language and is a shortened version of the themes painted on the walls of Kemet. Themes, for an example, such as circumcision, depicted on the walls and the scrolls also created by Abraham as a theme of the Torah. The word Torah is defined as law and or instruction and derives from the hieroglyph Re. In the book of Genesis, God said, "Let there be light," in which was translated from the Hebrew word pronounced Or, but in Semitic hieroglyphs, or the Medu Neter, it was translated as a pair of lips, or Re, also known as Adam Re. Re in this form is depicted as a man with a light disc surrounded by a snake above his head. This light disc represents the first atom created, or the first proton and electron, the hydrogen atom. Genesis 1 verses 2 and 3 says, "The Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, 'Let there be light.'" This verse is where modern science gets its understanding of chemistry and quantum physics. The words moved, water, light, and said is a scientific explanation on the mechanics of the movement of light, sound, and water. The word light in this context could be also defined as instructions. Our language consists of sacred signs and symbols. Some hieroglyphs were mistaken as gods or deities, but in fact, we were just speaking in a system of attributes. The other nations are confused about these signs and symbols. The Greek language is not considered an Afro language, but our language and customs were first translated by the Greeks, who were the children of Yavan, descendants of Japheth. Arabic, not to be confused with Aramaic, and Phoenician, are a sort of an amalgamated form of Hebrew. When Christopher Columbus came to the Americas, he documented the Aboriginal peoples as being circumcised and having Semitic customs. Before the United States became a country, nations such as Spain and France well documented the Aboriginals speaking a form of Semitic or Afro tongue, at one point calling it Cherokee or Cherokee. In fact, all forms of the major branches of the Afro language have been found on the North American continent. Context is very important when using the ancient Afro language. There is a difference between Re and Horus, and the difference could be very great or very similar. The word Horus is a plural word and is better pronounced as Heru, recorded as HRW, and is depicted as a hawk or a falcon hieroglyph. Verse 16 of Genesis 1 says, "God created two great lights, one great light to rule the day, and the lesser great light to rule over the night." When speaking about one of the two great lights, the greater light of the two will be used as Ra. Ra, depicted as a hawk with a light disc above his head. The lesser of the two lights is also written as Ra and depicted as a hawk, but the difference is with the crescent moon hieroglyph to highlight the kind of light and became known as the moon. Together, they make up the word or hieroglyph Heru, the two great lights. In the Torah, The word moon wasn't used until Joseph had a dream about the heavens. In this instance, the word moon was derived from the Hebrew word Ira and pronounced as Yara, ancient Hebrew as Yah or Aya. The word for moon was then simplified just to the word Yah. This crescent moon hieroglyph is how the moon phase looked when the first living creatures were created in verse 20 of Genesis 1. The fish in that hieroglyph is also the same word as Jah or Yah for moon. The moon in this sense was used as a broad term, but became a standard word, symbol, for moon and month, therefore deified for this reason. This chart lists the half moon first, representing the first day of creation, even though there wasn't a moon created yet. We deduce a half moon for the first day, because God stated He divided the light from the darkness, therefore a half moon. The half moon represents the last quarter phase before the fourth day, the crescent. With the first day being counted and displayed as a half moon, and the crescent moon on the fourth day, the next quarter phase after the half moon is a new moon phase. The new moon phase has become a standard of time, in which at this point represents the beginning of a new month. The symbol of a placenta is what is used to represent this new moon phase. The new moon phase also represents a Sabbath day, or a rest day. The word for month in the Torah was translated as Hodesh, pronounced as Kodesh. This is very important to understand about our language. Hodesh or Kodesh can either mean month, new month, or as a proper noun, mean new moon. The word Kodesh is a very ancient word, in which is derived from the word Khonsu. Khonsu is a symbol for the word month or new moon, and works in the same way as the word Hodesh or Kodesh. In the context of the word month or Hodesh, Khonsu is depicted as a falcon with a moon light disk above his head. The KH in the word Khonsu is depicted as a placenta hieroglyph, in which the placenta comes out during childbirth. The placenta is related to the moon and is used in the same sense of new, or to give birth or regenerate. The moon gave birth or brought forth the cycles or phases of the moon. Khonsu in the context of a new moon will be depicted as this image right here, where he is depicted as a young boy with a side lock of hair. A side lock is used when illustrating youth in our language. Notice how in this form Khonsu is wrapped up like a mummy, in which this also signifies a sense of regeneration or never ending, where the moon phases seem to live, die, and resurrect. Khonsu in this form is put upon a blue lapis stone, which signifies a certain standard, which works sort of how proper nouns are used in English. To us, this is a universal standard. Also take note on how his name is written out with the placenta. The very first Sabbath, the moon is not visible, and the only thing to be seen in the sky is stars during the new moon phase at night. One way to understand or indicate the new moon cycle will be the solar eclipse. A solar eclipse only occurs during the new moon phase and should be looked at as a sign or a signal for the new moon. According to time and date, modern science agrees that the new moon phase is not visible because of the alignment of the sun, the moon, and the earth. Also because the new moon is up in the daytime sky. It rises and sets around the same time as the sun, bringing it too close to the sun's glare to be seen with the naked eye. When Adam was created and recorded the sky, a very small sliver of moon was visible, and he recorded the first day. This first day hieroglyph was then recorded and became a standard to represent the first day of every new month. A week's time is to be observed from Sabbath to Sabbath. Every 7 days marks a rest day or Sabbath day, which after the Sabbath begins a new 7-day count. Sabbath, or rest, is the only name of the week that our ancestors had. The rest of the days were counted and numbered. The moon could be looked at as a sign or a signal in which each quarter phase of the moon represents the ending of a week and is also used to signify the rest day or the Sabbath day. The end of each week is marked with one of the 4 quarter phases of the moon cycle. As far as recorded history, the moon phases has never changed, never went back a phase, never skipped a phase, but maintained its endless cycle.